When life doesn't go your way, the first crack in your plans is often the first crack where the light can finally get in. You think you came here to fix your life, and instead life keeps rearranging you until you're not sure who the you is that wanted fixing. Pain shows up right on schedule, like an uninvited guest at the door of your heart, and the only real question is whether you'll keep pretending you're not home. The moment you start watching the drama instead of starring in it, even your own suffering begins to look strangely tender and precious. We try so hard to be the one who's helping, protesting, serving, healing, and then one day we notice that every other we tried to save was just another room in our own heart. Sometimes the guru arrives as a fat old man wrapped in a blanket, and sometimes as a diagnosis, a divorce paper, or a friend who doesn't call back. There comes a point when you realize your personality is just the costume, and the one inside the costume has never been bruised by any of it. The more you fail at being who you thought you were supposed to be, the more space there is for who you actually are to quietly step forward. Love begins to leak through the cracks whenever you stop trying to win, to be right, or to make the universe obey your script. In the end, the heart that opens when life doesn't go your way discovers there was never a wrong way at all, only the long, winding path back to itself. So here we are. You had a picture of how all this was supposed to go, didn't you? The relationship that would finally make you feel safe, the career that would prove you're worthwhile, the spiritual practice that would turn you into some serene, glowing being floating a few inches off the floor. And then life. Life comes along like a mischievous child and knocks over all your carefully stacked blocks in one swipe. And you say, no, this isn't how it was supposed to be. That phrase, how it was supposed to be, is one of the great mantras of suffering. You can almost hear the universe chuckle gently when you say it, because it's so innocent. Behind it is a heart that just wants to feel held, to feel that there is some order, some fairness, some guarantee. So we come together like this in these quiet moments to sit in the ruins of our plans and see if anything sacred might be hiding under the rubble. You might notice the mind wants a quick fix. Tell me what to do. Tell me how to manifest the right outcome, how to think the right thoughts, so everything lines up again. Give me the technique so I can get control back. And I'm here to suggest something far more radical and far simpler. Maybe the invitation is not to get control back, but to see who you are without it. Just feel the breath for a moment, the rise and fall. You didn't schedule that. You didn't put inhale, exhale, repeat into your calendar app. Something is breathing you. Something is happening that is not under your personal management. When life doesn't go your way, you're being invited out of the illusion that it was ever your life in the first place, like a driver who's been gripping the steering wheel of a car that's actually on rails. You can keep turning the wheel, but the car is going where it's going. Now, the ego hates that idea. The ego has built this whole elaborate identity. I am the one who makes it happen. I am the doer, the chooser, the one in charge. My value is proven by how well I arrange reality. And then suddenly life doesn't cooperate. The person you love leaves. The body doesn't behave. The money doesn't arrive. The cause you care about doesn't change the world on your preferred schedule. In that moment, the ego feels betrayed. It whispers, I did everything right. I visualized, I meditated, I tried so hard to be good. Why isn't the universe rewarding me? And slowly, if you're willing, the ground starts to give way beneath that whole bargaining system. You begin to see that this isn't a cosmic vending machine where you insert good behavior and get the outcome you ordered. Instead, there's this vast, mysterious dance. And you, this personality you've been polishing all these years, are not the choreographer. There was a time I watched my own life fall apart in ways I felt sure were mistakes. The people I loved seemed to grow distant. The roles that gave me meaning shifted. And all my spiritual credentials, my lectures, my books, my ideas about myself as some kind of advanced being, None of that stopped my heart from breaking. And there was a quiet, stubborn part of me that said, no, this shouldn't be happening. I've read the books, I've sat on the cushions, I've meditated in caves. Surely by now I should be exempt from this sort of thing. But there's no exemption clause from the human curriculum. If you're in a body, you're enrolled. So the question becomes, when life doesn't go your way, what do you take yourself to be? If you think you are the storyline, then every plot twist feels like a personal assault. If you think you are the character, then when the script changes, you suffer. But what if you start to suspect that you're not the character at all, but the one who's watching? You're watching this person. You, with your name, your history, your nervous habits, your longings, try to navigate existence. You watch them reach for love, mess it up, try again. You watch them make noble gestures and petty mistakes. You watch them succeed, and you watch them fail. And if you sit still long enough, if you let the breath move and the mind settle just a bit, you begin to sense something behind all of that. A quiet presence, a spaciousness that doesn't come and go with the drama. That presence is like the sky, the thoughts, the feelings, the disappointments. They're the weather. Storms roll in, storms roll out. The ego builds a whole identity around being a storm chaser, but the sky just is. You and I spend so much of our time arguing with the weather. This should be sunny, this should be cooler, this should not be happening today. And the sky waits patiently for us to remember we are that too. Once I sat with a friend whose whole life had just been turned upside down. The marriage ended, the job was gone, the future they'd memorized no longer existed. They said, everything I counted on is gone. I don't know who I am anymore. And I remember feeling this strange, tender joy in my heart, right alongside the sadness, because I could hear in their voice the unscripted truth. The old identity was cracking. I don't know who I am anymore is terrifying to the ego, but to the soul it is the sound of a door creaking open. I said to them, good, stay with that. Don't rush to build a new identity just yet. Don't turn this into, I am the one who lost everything, or I am the noble sufferer, or I am the spiritual one who learned from this. Just let yourself not know. Something deeper is trying to be born. You see, when life doesn't go your way, you have two main options. You can double down on being the victim or the controller, or you can use the moment as a kind of portal. You can step back and ask, who is the one all of this is happening to? That question doesn't have a quick mental answer. It's not a crossword puzzle. It's more like a koan that slowly dissolves the walls of your separate self. And along the way, of course, we keep getting hooked. We're human. You may notice in your own practice, you sit down to meditate, and instead of a serene saint, you find a restless committee up there, voices arguing, planning, regretting. One part says, I am so spiritual now, look at me meditating. Another part says, yes, but you're thinking about your grocery list, so clearly you're failing. Another part says, we should be having some kind of cosmic experience. Surely by now we should be seeing lights. And then, if you're lucky, there's a tiny, amused witness in the background going, look at that. Even here, the ego is trying to get good grades. That witness, S, is your way home. Years ago, I watched people march at anti-nuclear rallies near a place like Rocky Flats, their faces etched with anger and sincerity, chanting against what they saw as the enemy. And I could feel in my own chest the righteousness, the we are the good ones, they are the bad ones. If you've ever been part of a cause, maybe you are now, you know that flavor. You care deeply about something, and rightly so. You want to relieve suffering, protect the earth, stand up for justice. Beautiful. That impulse to help comes from the soul. But then the ego sneaks in wearing a very convincing costume. I am the savior. I am the one on the side of light. Those others, those politicians, those corporations, those people are the problem. And when life doesn't go our way on the political stage, when laws don't change, when the news keeps breaking our hearts, the ego feels thwarted. It looks for someone to blame. It feeds on anger in the name of love. What a subtle trap. The deeper invitation is this: can you act to relieve suffering without creating an enemy? Can you show up fully in the world, march, speak, write, vote, serve, while seeing everyone, even the ones you oppose, as part of your own heart? That doesn't mean you become passive. It means you live in a strange, luminous paradox. You fight the systems that cause harm without hating the people caught inside them. You stand up strongly, but inside you hold even the opposite side with compassion. That kind of activism is not fueled by the ego's hunger for victory. It's fueled by love. It's karma yoga. Action without clinging to results, doing what you can with whatever clarity you have, and leaving the rest to a wisdom far larger than your own. Life will not always reward you for that. Sometimes you will pour your heart into a cause and see no visible change. Sometimes you will devote yourself to a person's healing and watch them decline anyway. If you think your job is to control outcomes, this will break you. If you start to see that your real work is to keep your heart open regardless of outcomes, then even heartbreak becomes part of the path. I once watched someone sit at the bedside of a dying friend for days, exhausted, unshowered, their own life on hold. They kept saying, "I can't do this, I can't do this," and yet they stayed. They wiped a forehead, they adjusted a pillow, they whispered words of comfort that seemed to dissolve into the air. From the outside, it looked like a tiny, helpless act in the face of an unstoppable wave. From the inside, it was the whole universe learning how to love itself through the illusion of loss. Life was not going their way. Death was not obeying their preferences. And yet something in them was quietly discovering a love that did not depend on things working out. This is the secret embedded in all those moments when your plans fall apart. You're being trained in a love that doesn't come with conditions. You might not like the curriculum. In fact, you probably won't. It will include assignments like, this person will not love you back the way you hoped, and your body will not always support your ambition. And this dream will not unfold on your timeline. And yet, each assignment, if you let it, turns you towards something deeper. What we call the guru, whether it appears as an old man in a blanket or a child or an illness or a broken dream, is really just that force that keeps steering you back to your own heart. The guru is not a personality to adore. It is a mirror that refuses to reflect your fantasies and instead shows you what is. You might have imagined a wise being who would always comfort you, agree with you, reward you. Instead, you meet circumstances that strip away your false securities. It can feel cruel, like bad luck. Sometimes people ask, why do you have a guru? And a mischievous answer might be, bad luck, I guess. Because once that presence gets hold of your life, nothing quite works according to your old plans anymore. You are no longer allowed to live comfortably asleep. Your disappointments become teachings. Your embarrassments become sandpaper, rubbing away the rough edges of your pride. The times you feel most stuck turn out, in hindsight, to be the exact places where grace had you pinned so you would finally stop running. Have you noticed how often your greatest openings came disguised as closed doors? Think back, a love that ended, and later you discovered a more honest relationship with yourself. A job that fell apart, and in the free fall you stumbled into a life more aligned with your soul. A period of depression that forced you to stop pretending and start listening inwardly. In the moment, it felt wrong, unfair, not my way. But the heart, in its secret wisdom, was using the wreckage to build something you couldn't have designed from your small self. There is a kind of grace that only arrives when the ego is exhausted. As long as you still believe you can engineer the perfect life, you're too busy to notice the quiet guidance that's always here. So life, in its kindness, lets your strategies fail over and over, until in some tender, humbled hour, you sit there and say, I don't know. I don't know how to fix this. I don't know how to make them love me. I don't know how to stop the pain. I don't know what comes next. In the world of the ego, I don't know is a humiliation. But in the world of the soul, I don't know is the doorway to wonder. It's the moment you stop pushing your agenda onto the universe and become curious about what the universe is up to. Right there, if you listen, there is usually a very small, very quiet instruction. It might be as simple as breathe, or feel your feet on the ground, or call this person, or rest. The mind says, that can't be enough. I need a 5-year plan. But the heart moves in single steps, one breath, one kindness, one honest, tear-shed moment at a time. Over the years, I've met so many seekers disappointed with themselves. I should be more enlightened by now. I should handle suffering better. I still get angry. I still get jealous. I still get scared. As if spiritual life were a self-improvement project and failure to achieve serenity were a moral flaw. Yet the deeper I've gone, the more I see that the path is not about sanding down your humanity so you can be some polished statue of perfection. It's about bringing a vast, compassionate awareness to the human mess, just as it is. You can be furious and still aware of your fury. You can be terrified and still aware of the fear. You can be jealous and still aware of jealousy. And in that awareness, something miraculous happens. You are no longer entirely possessed by the state you're in. You begin to sense 2 levels at once, the storm and the sky. When life doesn't go your way, the storm might be very loud. The mind might be shouting stories. This is proof that I am unworthy, that the universe is against me, that I always lose. But gently, patiently, you can start to rest as the sky. You can feel into that quiet watcher that has been here through all your changing moods, all your different ages, all your identities, the one who was there when you were 5 and when you were 25 and who is here now. That watcher doesn't say, this shouldn't be happening. It doesn't say anything really, it just witnesses. And when you rest there, your heart begins to relax around the situation, even if the situation doesn't change. You may still grieve, still ache, still long, but the longing is held inside a larger tenderness. You find yourself capable of embracing your own pain like you would comfort a crying child. Ah, sweetheart, of course you hurt. Of course you're disappointed. Come here, let it be. This is the beginning of real compassion. And once you can offer it to yourself, it becomes natural to offer it to others. You start to see that everybody you meet is also carrying their own shattered expectations, their own broken dreams, their own quiet sorrows. The person who cut you off in traffic, the clerk who was rude, the neighbor who gossips, they're all wrestling with some version of life not going their way. From the ego's perspective, they are obstacles, villains, or annoyances. From the soul's perspective, they are fellow travelers. When you live from that deeper place, service is no longer something you do to be good. It's just what love looks like in action. You respond to the world the way a healthy hand instinctively reaches to bandage a cut on the other hand. One body, many parts. And your own suffering becomes part of the intelligence of that body. It humbles you. It keeps you from standing above others in judgment because you remember exactly how it feels to be lost, ashamed, wounded. So when life doesn't go your way, instead of asking, why me, you might begin to ask, how can this soften me? How can this make me gentler with others? How can this crack my heart open just a little more? Not in a masochistic way, not seeking out pain, just recognizing that when it arrives, it can either close you down or open you up. You don't have to like what's happening to allow it to teach you. You may still work to change it, seek healing, leave harmful situations, challenge injustice, of course. But you can do it without turning your heart into armor. There is a strange, beautiful possibility that you can walk through a life that does not obey your desires and still fall more and more in love with existence itself. Love not as a sentimental feeling, but as a recognition. There is one being here, playing all these roles, wearing all these faces, forgetting and remembering itself endlessly. Sometimes it remembers through joy. Sometimes it remembers through loss. And when it remembers, even for a moment, that being looks out of your eyes and my eyes and sees itself everywhere, in that moment, nothing has to go your way for you to feel at home. You sit inside your own chest as if it were a temple. You listen to the hum of your breath as if it were a sacred chant. You look at the ordinary world, the dishes in the sink, the traffic outside, the aging of your own hands, and you feel a quiet, inexplicable tenderness. This too, you think, this too is part of the beloved. Life will still have its waves. You will still have days where you forget all of this and shake your fist at the sky. And then, if you are patient and a little bit kind to yourself, you will remember again. You will remember that the heart that opens when life doesn't go your way is the same heart that opened when it did. The circumstances changed. The opening is the constant. To rest in that opening is to live as presence rather than personality. Personality will always have preferences. This job, not that. This diagnosis, not that. This election result, not that. Nothing wrong with preferences. They are part of being human. But when you know yourself as presence, the preferences float in a vast okayness. You can say, I wish this were different, and at the same time feel a deeper current whispering, and yet here we are. You can cry, and the tears fall into a stillness that doesn't drown. You can laugh, and the laughter echoes off the walls of infinity. You can lose, and somewhere in you, nothing is lost. You can die, and the awareness that knows death as a passing event remains untouched. All of this is very grand in words. In practice, it is simply this. In the middle of whatever is happening that you did not want, remember to come back to your breath. Feel the inhale as a gift you did not earn. Feel the exhale as a letting go you cannot avoid. Feel the weight of your body resting on the earth, held without condition. Let your attention drop from the stories in your head into the sensations in your chest. Maybe there is tightness. Maybe there is warmth. Maybe there is numbness. Let it all be there. And then, as best you can, offer yourself this blessing. May I be kind to myself in this. May I learn what love is through this. May this too be used for awakening. You don't have to mean it perfectly. You just have to be willing to whisper it into the cracks of your resistance. Over time, slowly, steadily, something soft and wise begins to grow in those cracks. And one day you may look back at the seasons when life most refused to go your way and realize they were the very seasons when your heart learned how to be free. Not free from pain, but free to love in the midst of it. Not free from uncertainty, but free from the obsession with certainty. Not free from being human, but free from believing that being human is a mistake. You discover that the heart that opens when life doesn't go your way is not a fragile thing. It is vast, spacious, made of the same stuff as the sky. And as you rest in that recognition, words fall away. The stories, the explanations, the bargains, the questions, they all quiet down. There is just this breath, this heartbeat, this mysterious, unearned moment of existence. Nothing to fix, no one to become. Only this simple, luminous fact. You are here, you are aware. And in that awareness, everything that didn't go your way dissolves into a deeper, wordless okayness. Just be here, now.